Hello, listeners. This is Johnny Gwynn, the producer of the Agent 251 podcast. This episode is a little different than the usual Agent 251 podcast. This audio was recorded live at the JWRE Power Lunch training session. So the voices are not always as clear and beautiful as they are from the deep fried studio. I left this conversation as I received it with very little edits, but I did clean up the audio volume just a bit. We hope you enjoy this Agent 251 live in Orange Beach episode.
Welcome to the Agent 251 podcast, the real estate show that looks deep into the work and culture at JWRE, Jason Will Real Estate, in Mobile and Baldwin counties. Jason, Agent 251, investigates and spills the beans on his case closing clues and industry secrets for motivating agents while educating buyers and sellers.
FSBOs are like low-hanging fruit, like one of the lowest. So let's start thinking about how we can have this like super leveraged strategy for FSBOs. What we need to make peace with is that when we call a for sale by owner, who's afraid to call a for sale by owner?
They're cranky.
They are? Now, one thing I don't want you to do is try to win. We're not calling to cheer these cranky people up. We're not going to win them over on the phone. We're just not. All right, so the only purpose of the FSBO, our whole FSBO game plan, is to get the appointment. All right, this is the goal here. I want to get the appointment. I want to get face-to-face. All right, so what's the best way to get face-to-face? A preview appointment. All right, so here's my script for the preview appointment. Hey, this is Quincy with JWRE Mobile. I'm calling to see if your home at 123 Main Street is still on the market. Oh, yes, it is. Okay, great. Are you willing to work with an agent who brings you a buyer? Well, what does that mean? Well, that means if I bring you a qualified buyer that's willing to give you a price for your home that you're willing to accept, that you'll compensate me with a commission because I procured the buyer. Okay, well, what kind of compensation are we talking here? Your phone went off. We almost smashed it with a hammer. So it's going to live to ring another day, but I'm not sure how many times it's going to. Well, it was vibrating. It's like you have it on the highest vibrating setting there is, which is weird. So what does that mean compensation-wise? It means if I bring you a buyer, it's a price you're willing to accept, that it's typically half the listing commission, 2.5%, 3%. So you are the professional. You set that value range that you're willing to accept. You might not want to mention 2.5. You might just want to say 3. It's your time. It's your business. You're not leaving here thinking like a salesperson anymore. You're leaving here thinking like a business owner. Got it? 9 times out of 10, they're going to go, absolutely. You bring me a buyer, I'll give you 2.5%, 3% all day long. Absolutely. Okay, great. When can I come see it? Mornings or afternoons work better. Typically, the only objection I've gotten from this point is there's pictures on Zillow or Trulia or Realtor.com or ForSaleByOwner.com, some website they're going to direct me to look at pictures. To me, this is a really easy objection to deal with because I'm much more likely, I can appreciate that. You always want to validate what they say as if it's important. And even though it's not important to us, it's important to them. So we need to validate it. Great, I can appreciate that, but can you appreciate my situation? I've agreed not to show my buyers any homes that don't meet their criteria. And the only way I'm really going to know that as a professional is to see your home in person. Or, option 2, I'm much more likely to recommend your home to my buyer if I've seen it in person. Both of these are going to give them some pause, like, wow, there's a degree of separation there. There's some professionalism there. I'm sensing it. Most of the realtors that are calling are just saying, hey, are you ready to list? Hey, you ready to list? Hey, can I come by and interview? Hey, ready to hire an agent? Remember, it's jab, 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 right hook. It's give, 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 ask. This is a value proposition call, not a listing call. I'm trying to make a deposit here, not a withdrawal. So my deposit is I'm going to come preview your home because I might recommend it to one of my buyers. Now, we got to understand that this is not bull. You'll see stats, Google this. Somewhere between the range of 35 to close to 40% of all real estate transactions are still done from agent to agent, word of mouth, agent to agent, where you're working with this buyer. This is where all that market knowledge comes in, all that previewing and stuff and seeing all these homes, where this comes in handy because they think they know what they want, right? And then you get into the house and it's like, okay, what you're saying your likes and dislikes are have very little to do with the information you provided me at the buyer consultation. But because you've seen so many houses, You're like, listen, let's leave here and go down the street. There's a perfect 4-bedroom down there. It's close to where you work. When you're the result of a real estate transaction by something, just by what you've heard and what you've seen and your knowledge of properties, the referral business that comes from this is staggering. All right, so you set the appointment. Anybody got any questions on our script to set the appointment? What I would recommend is if you want to do this, let's role play it before you do it. Let's just role play it before you do it. I'll be the for sale by owner. Let's get through it. Because this will get the repetition is mother of skill. So we need to practice it. All right, so once I get to the home, I'm going to have a pad like this. Just get you a yellow pad, get a clipboard, get something to write on, and you're going to go on a tour of the home. And we're writing down the positives, the negatives. What are the selling features? What are the things they really need to fix? What are you smelling? Smell good? Picking up a hint of litter box? I'm going to write that down. Let them see you taking notes. This is really, really important. What do you feel like? Go to a restaurant. Sherry, your waitress does not have anything to write on. And you're a very picky patron. And you're like, I need this on the side, and I've got this allergy, and and you're naming off all this stuff. And she ain't writing anything down. And you're like, if I even smell a peanut, I die. And she's not writing any of this down. So what's your level of comfort? You feeling good about this order? You're like, this could be my last supper. Plenty of agents are going through these homes taking 0 notes. They're not writing anything down. It's just like, yeah, it looks good. Yeah, all right. Yeah, I think I can sell this. This is important to them. It shows that you care. All right, so after you go do your tour through the home, I always ask them, and this is another thing you can pull out on the phone call. Look, a preview appointment takes 10 minutes, tops, in and out. But after I do my tour, I'm going to ask them, do you have another few minutes where we can sit down at your kitchen table? I want to talk to you about some things that I see here that'll make your home a little bit more marketable. 9 times out of 10, they're going to grant you the preview appointment. They're going to grant you that extension to give you more time at the kitchen table to discuss some things because they're looking for honesty, honest feedback. We've got to think about, has anybody in here ever shown a home where the seller was present? What happens?
I hate that.
Why?
Because the buyer won't talk openly. They won't say anything. They won't voice their concerns because the seller's standing there. They don't want to hurt people.
Who is present 9 out of 10 times at a FSBO showing? I mean, this goes back to market knowledge and our expertise and our professionalism. We can give them guidance because they will say, well, everybody that's come through has just had the nicest things to say. I can't believe you found some things wrong with my home. Everybody's just been so nice. And everybody's wanting to come back and write an offer. It's all a bunch of fluff. So eventually they're going to realize it hey, I actually need to get an objective opinion here because enough people have come through and nobody's given me an offer. So I always want to deliver this in a humble way, and I want to ask their permission. Do I have your permission to be honest with you? And they're going to say, please. The reason we're a FSBO is because the last agents we've dealt with were not honest. They were poor communicators. They had no marketing plan. They didn't know the market, so they didn't price it right. I mean, these are all the common things they're going to say. And so I know that every time I meet somebody that wants to sell a home, I know what they're thinking. I know what their questions are. And if I'm a 4P agent, I'm going to meet them where they're at, where their questions are, where their needs are. Market knowledge, marketing plan, communication. What's the system? Be honest with me. Don't tell me just what you think I want to hear so you can get the listing. Don't be the yes realtor. Give me the honesty. All right, so they've given you permission. So tell them, look, we need to make this, it's not very navigable in here. You got this big, bulky furniture. It's so crowded in all these rooms. You're making the rooms look small. I can't really see all the space. Or it's a litter box. Or the dog has not stopped barking since you've walked in the door. Is that thing here for showings? That thing got to go. And I wanted to take a look at your yard. But, every third step I tried to make was a big landmine of poop. Let's be real here. I mean, I'm telling you, it sounds crazy, but try it. Always be testing. Try this, and they're going to go, God, you're the only agent that's come through that's told me that. I actually thought all that poop in the backyard wasn't a big deal. Now I see that it might be. So I'm starting to build rapport with this seller because I'm giving them honest advice. Now, remember, it's not a listing appointment. This is an appointment where we're going to build rapport by offering value. So I'm going to go into a list of things that I think you should, services that you can pick and choose that you offer a seller. You're the one that's going to have to draw a line in the sand and go, you know what, I don't know how to do that. I wouldn't even know where to start. I don't like doing that. Or that's too much. We know we can't give them too much, because if we give them too much, they're going to run all over us. Well, I don't ever have to list with Elamar because he'll do anything I say anytime I say it. So he gives me all the information I need. My big line in the sand was price. If you wanted my expertise on price, because I have so much market knowledge, you're going to have to hire me. I'll help you with everything else. But price, that's something that's limited to people that actually hire me. And you can keep, like, we've been using some embedded commands in these scripts, like buy a home, purchase a property, hire me. All right, so I'm going through these things. I'm mentioning positives and negatives. Like, here's the real big selling points that I think, are going to really result in some offers for you. But we got to get some of these knickknacks out of the way. We know that it's a very psychological thing that happens with buyers. If they see bugs in the light fixture above the front door, they're already going, well, if they don't clean that out, what else do they don't clean? If they're going to just let that go, what else? I mean, I bet you the air filter hadn't been changed in like a year. Probably hadn't had AC service. They're not doing any of this stuff. I mean, this is a scary home. I don't think I'm going to buy this one. They've already making up their mind. And in Mobile County, we know there's still plenty of homes on the market. I know the market's heating up. It's getting hot. But there's still plenty of options out there. So what do you do when you're faced with 10 homes that could probably all work in one way or the other? You've got to have this process of elimination. And they're looking for the negative. They're not looking for the positive. All right, a key question to ask after you go through this part of the kitchen table talk is to ask them, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, how long are you going to try to sell this home on your own before you start entertaining the idea of hiring an agent? However you want to say that. There really is no set language for that. The key that you need to know is that they've all thought about it. They've all said, all right, I'm going to give this a try on my own for 6 weeks or a month or 2 months. They have a time frame in mind. So why would I want to know what it is? Yeah, it's really key. Fortune, they say, is in the follow-up. But I'm a 4P agent, so my mindset is proactive. So they give me that time frame, 2 months. Great, that's smart. I can see what you're doing there. You're trying to give yourself an opportunity to bring home or to cash out as much equity as possible, right? That's the goal here. Yep. Okay, well, if it doesn't happen in 8 weeks, then I want to earn the right to be one of the agents you interview in 8 weeks. Would you allow me that opportunity to earn that right? This is a script. Would you allow me the opportunity to earn a seat at the table? What that script is right there, would you allow me the opportunity to earn a seat at the table? Now, what is, do you think, the perception? And we all know that perception is reality. So what is the perception of today's workforce, let's say? Or let's just say our industry. What's the perception of our industry as a whole? Is it good? No. All right, so the perception of our industry, just in case you don't know, which you will not get this wrong after today, is that we're lazy. We're overpaid and we're lazy. So this is the perception. The perception of the real estate agent, I'm telling you, is lower than the ambulance chaser, lower than the scummiest used car salesman you've ever dealt with. We're below them. So you understand that. So when you say things like, I want to earn the right to have a seat at the table, I want to earn the right to interview for this listing, they're like, oh, she's different. Oh, he's different than the other ones that have come through. All right, so how are we going to earn it? Okay, so here's my options for you, okay? Most of these are going to be free. I've got one that is a paid option, but the first one is open houses. We know for a lot of different reasons, help them connect logically to why it might be a bad idea for them to stick around during a showing. Like, why would it be more beneficial for you to host the open house than them? All right, and it just goes back to my experience. Well, I've showed this home 6 months ago. The seller refused to leave. The showing lasted about 5 minutes. My buyers were not comfortable with him being there. They didn't feel comfortable asking questions, opening doors. They felt like they were intruding. And so the showing ended abruptly. And I would hate for that to happen to a potential buyer. And it's nothing against you. It's nothing personal. They just need to feel comfortable during a showing. If you're trying to sell something, like LMR, back when you were in the car business, if I went car shopping and you made me feel uncomfortable the whole time I was looking for a car, like you poking me in the back and the side, I'm like, hey, I'm trying to look at a car here. It's really not going to go that well. So like, I don't want to set you up for failure. And that's what you're doing every time you personally show this home. You're speaking from experience there. So the open house is easy. And it's something you can do repeatedly. And you're going to get buyers, and you're possibly going to get sellers, and you're going to have all this stuff to put on social media, so people are going to be like, wow, she's really getting busy. She's got all these open houses going on, and she's doing social media marketing. They're not going to necessarily know that it's not your listing. And we know that our SOI these days, our sphere of influence, is directly connected to what's going on with our social media presence. These two are very connected these days. So a lot of your sphere of influence is not going to hire you until they see you succeeding in this industry. Well, if I refer her to one of my friends, and let's say she's out of the business next week, I hadn't really seen her doing much, but they see you doing stuff, even if it's a little smoke and mirrors, are going to be like, she's working. At least they know you're clocking in, day out. You're doing stuff. All right, so the open house. One of the things they might say to you on this report is like, or the objection to the open house is like, I don't think I need one of those because we've only had it on the market for like a week and there's been at least 10 people through here. And I'll be like, I'd be like, wow, that's awesome. Can I see a list of those 10 people that came through and possibly their feedback they left? Oh, we didn't write down the names or numbers. The only thing we need is an offer. I mean, why would we need to do that? Again, we go back to our experience as real estate agents. Why is feedback so important? Just lay it on them. Like there could be something keeping these people from buying because we know that if 10 people have come through, that should result in one offer. This is a research-based deal here. I'm a research-based, technology-driven realtor. I'm coming up with this cool little slogans to drop when I'm at this appointment. And I know every 10 showings should result in one offer if the price is right and the condition is optimum. So they're like, I'm sorry, but it makes sense, but we didn't write any of these people's names or numbers down, and we certainly didn't get any feedback. Like, okay, all right, that's not good, but it's not the end of the world. We can fix this. Here's a piece of paper. On the top, it says name, phone number, and email. It's basically an open house sign-in sheet without the open house on the top. I'm going to leave this with you. I'm going to come by and pick it up every week. And then I'm going to scrub this list and figure out who was really interested, who was just kicking tires. I'm going to get with my lender and get the interested people qualified and see who actually buy. And that way you could actually know, because I'm telling you, in their mind, they're like they had 10 people come through, and every one of those couples or people had great things to say about the home and said they would consider making an offer. They got to go see a few more houses, or they got their home to sell. So they're feeling good. But what they don't know is the truth, that the people really didn't like the house, or they thought it was overpriced.
Or there was dog poop all over the backyard.
There was dog poop all over the backyard. 9 out of 10 FSBOs are overpriced, dramatically. So you think about this, we're offering value wow, every other realtor that's come through here has just wanted something. You just offered to host an open house and then qualify every person that comes to the door. This is interesting. I never heard this before. Are you sure you're a real estate agent? Now, what I love to do, in addition, I would do the open houses, do the call list. I would report. That'd give me a reason to follow up. Hey, here's. I went through all the names and numbers of people that came by last week. There was only 2 people that were really looking, and of those 2 people, only one could get pre-qualified, and they're like $100,000 shy of your price point. But at least we know, okay, there's no buyers in that bunch, because they're hanging on the fact that one of those 10 people's come back and give me an offer. The reality is they're not, or they would have done it already. But we're going to help them figure that stuff out. But one of the things I love to do was social media marketing and video marketing and blogging. So I would go through and I would, back in the day, just had a flip camera. But I can do it from my phone in iMovie. If I've got an iPhone, iMovie app, I can do it all from there. Do a quick little video tour. I sit down with them, I ask them some questions, like, why'd you buy this house? Like, what made you fall in love with this house? How long have you been here? What improvements have you made to it while you've been here? What's kind of near here that's fun to do and a good place to eat near here? What are you going to miss about this home after you move? So I'm just getting enough information to put 2 or 3 paragraphs together, slapping some of the pictures I've taken in my video, and I'm writing a blog. I'm also getting content to create a pretty jam-up Craigslist ad or Backpage ad or classifiedads.com ad. And then I'm getting all this information that I can share on the Facebook buy-seller trade groups. So it's just like this snowball effect of things that are happening. Because I'm doing all these things to build rapport and win the approval of a for sale by owner, earn that right at the table, earn that seat at the table. And while I'm doing this, I've got all these different avenues to prospect that I didn't have before. And the social media stuff and the Craigslist stuff, that's going to generate leads. So there's more people to contact. Then I got the leads from the open house. There's more there. So you can see, like, you could say, all right, well, I'm gonna adopt this FSBO / open house strategy. So I'm doing open houses for people in my office. I'm working FSBO open houses. That's it. That's all you gotta do. It's game over. All your financial worries are over. If you're consistent, you're disciplined, and you embody this 4P agent. Because you can do the open houses and work the FSBOs as a 3P agent, you're not gonna get very far. So we got to make peace with the mindset of the hustle that goes into this, okay? 1/3 of all FSBOs are going to list with an agent. At minimum 1/3. That's enough for me to get in the game. But with me doing all this stuff, the social media stuff, the YouTube, the blogging, the Craigslist, like, to me, it really didn't matter all that much if they did list. Like, I can honestly say I'm just here to work for you. Because there's only one specific buyer for their home. And their home is allowing me to connect with all these other people. And that's one of the prime things they would do after I would deliver this. Say, here's what I'm willing to do for you. They would go, all right, what's the catch? You're going to hear this point blank. What's the catch? This ain't for real. Why would you do this? Why would you give me all this free stuff? What are you after? And I would just simply say, what's the most honest answer I can give them? We've got to think about this. We are in a relationship referral-based business. If I'm a 3P agent and a 3P agent's reactive, 3P agent's waiting for people to come to them, I'm just going to sit by my phone. I put a post on Facebook after I got my license and after I hung with a broker. So surely, if I sit here long enough, ready to answer my phone, somebody's going to call me and just want to give me all this business. But we know that's not reality. So when a FSBO says, hey, what's the catch? I say, all right, let's relate to me here. I'm in a referral-based relationship business. The more people I meet, the more relationships I build, the bigger my business gets. Would you agree with that, Mr. and Mrs. Seller? They'll go, yeah, absolutely, that makes sense. Okay, so instead of sitting behind my desk at the office, I've got all these skills that I can put to work for sale by owners. And if I help you sell this home, even if I'm not the agent that brings the buyer, let's say a buyer from Texas sees the video I've made about your home or reads my blog and is already working with an agent here in Mobile County, calls them to see your home, and they end up buying it and I get zip. Are you going to have good things to say about me and the job that I did? And they'll go, absolutely. That's it. And once you help them self-discover why it makes so much sense for us to work together, boy, you got them. They're like, this agent is so different than any agent I've ever met before, that they're going to go out and just start talking about you right then and there. Like, you're never going to believe this. It's a high degree of separation. Okay, so open house, weekly report of call activity, plus you're scrubbing that list of everybody that comes to the door, blogging, YouTube, social media, classified ads. There's a barrage of things to do. Now, the one thing I would look for if you've got some change in your pocket to spend is to look into an IVR system which is instant voice response. This is your 800 number, call capture. So 1-800 number. Some of these have gotten pretty advanced where there might be a text feature or QR code. I'm not really into the QR code. LMR likes QR codes. I think they're stupid. So my sign is, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to have a sign made just like theirs. It's going to be red and white. It's going to be that same size. What is it, 20 by 12 or something like that? It's going to look just like theirs with just a couple changes. So for sale, by owner, and then I've got my name, my thing for my number in here, and then I'm going to put, the only thing that's really going to be different is going to say 24-hour recorded info. So I'm going to have this sign made. All right, and then I'm going to have an 800 number here, and then I'm going to have an extension here, where as soon as somebody calls the 800 number, enters the extension, it's going to go right to my phone. Bam, lead. So I'm going to use I get the 800 number from a company like, there's a couple, ProQuest Technologies, and then I still can't remember what the other one is, but just go to this website, put this in, buyeracquire.com, and it forwards to the new company. But this is anywhere from $60 to $100 a month. For sale by owners, once you build this rapport, they stinking love this.
What is that 24-hour what?
Recorded info.
Oh.
So you'll hear them, like I listen to these for sale by owners, and they say, like, all right, so what are their gripes? Ask them who's been calling. Agents. They hate fielding calls from agents. So I give them, I'm a problem solver. All right, so what's the problem? Well, there's nothing but a bunch of stupid agents like LMR calling me, bugging me. Okay, great. I got a solution for that. I'm going to put a sign in your yard. It's going to look just like yours. It's going to have a couple different features here. You've already said you're willing to work with me at a 2.5% or 3% basis. Got a lockbox on your home. We can make it like super easy to show. People are going to call here. They're going to call. They're going to get all the information on your home. We know people, there's only a limited number of people that are calling their number because most people don't want to be sold. So we can I've actually even done this. I put their sign side by side with mine. Like, well, I don't want to take my sign out of the yard. Fine. Let me put mine by yours. Like, what if you're out fishing or at the grocery store, you can't answer your phone, and somebody needs information like that? They need my sign. Because this is 24-hour information, any on-demand information. Eventually, they will pull theirs out of the ground. Especially if you're a 4P agent, you're coming by every week saying, here's a list of people that called. These systems that you're paying for, they're going to give you a log and a report that you can print or cut and paste. You can snapshot it, you screenshot it, and send it to the people. Here's who called. I've called all these numbers. Here's feedback I've gotten. Here's some show requests I've set up. Here's some people that couldn't get qualified. They're just out shopping. They're bored. They just love to look at homes in their spare time. And you're just keeping them in the loop. And you're answering all the questions for them. If it's in a visible, if you've got a home that's aesthetically attractive from the curb, great curb appeal, and it's on a semi-busy road, you won't be able to keep up with the leads. You will not be able to manage the leads by yourself. If you put solar lights facing this sign, it's a double-sided sign, a light on each side to the right or left, so you're getting calls even after the sun goes down. They're going to be like, this agent thinks of everything. So blown away. I mean, unbelievable.
This is so cool.
One of Annette, hopefully Annette's watching her, she'll get to watch this because she was telling me at our leadership lunch that she's got some for sale owners that she's working with. I don't think she's going through this comprehensive process where we're doing open houses and things like that. I'm not sure. I'd have to talk to her. It's in addition to her, there's other agents who are like, listen, they're letting me do the open houses. I can do everything else you mentioned, but they're not listing. So what can I do? Like, I need something. So you're just going to come up with this win-win or no deal FSBO listing agreement or put your own little catchphrase on it. And some of you might agree with this and want to run with it. Some of you might be like, this is the dumbest idea I've ever heard of. Some of you might want to test it before you make up your mind. I would highly recommend that. So this is the win-win or no deal FSBO plan. If you don't like that title, come up with something else. So what we're doing with this plan is we're removing risk And we're eliminating as many reasons for them to say no as possible. A lot of these people are for sale by owners, yes, because they've had a bad experience with an agent. Yes, their goal is to save money. But a third kind of issue here is they have rarely, if ever, come in contact with an agent who's willing to have skin in the game. All right, so with this strategy, you're going to have to put some skin in the game, and you may or may not be comfortable with it, and that's okay. But let's go through it, and let's have a discussion about it. And we need to do it quickly because we're almost 7 minutes over time. So the first part of the win-win or no deal FSBO plan is your easy exit listing agreement. So this is just an easy out clause. So Mr. and Mrs. Seller, you wake up tomorrow morning after entering this agreement and you decide that my voice is too annoying for you to take, and I'm so critical about the dog poop that I must be anti-dog. You cannot do business with somebody who's a dog hater. We're out. I walk. We're talking about myth busters. So a big myth, and this has happened live in our training room, where we're taking somebody who was not a home buyer and they became a buyer just like that because they discovered that this 20% down thing is a myth. Most sellers, if you've called enough expireds, you know, like I didn't no idea they don't think they can cancel their contract. They think they're locked in to these contracts. So you say, listen, we're going to take all that stress off. You don't like the way I do business? A lot of people don't do what they say they're going to do. Which there's a lot of fundamental rules of sales. Which is answer your dang phone, do what you say you're going to do, and show up. But a lot of people don't. They aren't who they say they are. So let's take that off. They don't want to get stuck with a lemon of an agent. So it's an easy out clause. The next part is your smart seller. So it is a smart seller program. So that means that your for sale by owner can keep marketing their home for sale. They can keep it on FSBO.com. They can post their own Craigslist ads. They can host their own open houses. Maybe y'all split up open house duty. They take 2 weekends a month. You take 2 weekends a month. If they find their own buyer, you're out. You get nothing. You walk. Now, the third part of this is the flexible commission structure. So let's recap real quick. We have an easy out clause, the smart seller, which is they can keep marketing their home and trying to procure their own buyer. And the third part of our plan is the flexible commission structure. So let's say they keep marketing their home for sale and they do find a buyer. Or it was a buyer that they've been working with that came to the very first open house they ever hosted. And they're finally coming back to buy the home. Let's try to conduct ourselves as a business owner, a business person, and find other ways where we can be of service and still have a profit off of this. Get some return on our investment. So the first would be a 1% commission. So all you're doing is contract to close. Now, as a professional agent, I know in this market that we're in right now, finding the buyer is not necessarily the hard part. It's getting it from the contract to the closing table. That's the hard part. So for 1%, they'd probably gladly do that. Your contract to close services, 1%. Now, if you procure the buyer and it's an agent that is not working with another real estate agent, you could do it for 3 or 4%. And if it is indeed a co-op agent situation, it could be the full 5 or full 6. But I can tell you with almost absolute certainty that there's not a for sale by owner that's ever been presented with a listing plan of this design where an agent has skin in the game. I got to sell it before you sell it. I've got to do a good job, or you have the ability to fire me on the spot. I have to live up to your expectations, or you don't have to honor the contract. You're going to win big with this.
Well, that wraps up another Agent 251 podcast. Thanks so much for listening. You can find our show on iTunes, any place you get your podcast fix. We really appreciate the listening, and please share it with your friends. This show has been paid for and powered by JWRE, Jason Will Real Estate. You can find Jason, Diana, and the whole JWRE team on the internet and Facebook. And everybody have a great and productive and happy week.